so sickness spread quickly. So we started to learn last week about how sin is the problem. If you remember, we talked about the law, and we learned that the law cannot save a person. We think, oh, I follow the Ten Commandments, that means I'm saved. No, there's not a single person from Adam to today that was saved by the law. Not a single person. And why is that? Because if you want to be saved by the law, you must be perfect in keeping every single law your entire life. It's just not possible. Now, there is one who did it, and that would be Jesus. From his birth, all of his life, he was perfect in keeping all of the law. And then he died on the cross. He obeyed the law in perfection. Not even a tiny mistake, not a single one, not a white lie, nothing. He was perfect. But as for you and for me, so it brings up a question for us. So does that mean that the law then is no good? I can't be saved by the law. Does that mean that the law is worthless? No. The law is very good and very holy, very perfect. And the problem is within myself. What is that problem? That problem is sin. It's not the fault of the law. It's the fault of sin within me. So we'll review briefly and then we'll conclude the message, Lord willing. So we want to look here at the main idea. The main idea is that God's law is good. The law does show me my sin. I may think that I'm doing pretty good, and yet I read the Ten Commandments, for example, and realize that there's something wrong inside of me. I am not good. Now, the law itself is good. Sin inside of me is the real problem. And it uses the law to show me how much I actually need Jesus. Do you remember we looked at this illustration? So in Romans chapter 3, verse 23, when you meet a person and you try to witness to them, you will often tell them Romans chapter 3, verse 23. And what is that? Everyone has sinned, and we all have fallen short of God's glory. So sin, maybe a person asks you, okay, we have all sinned, but what is sin? So the answer, okay, I sin, right? Okay, so a person says, well, what does it mean to sin? And we answer and say, well, it's lying, it's stealing, and that's true. However, what does it mean by sin? What's the definition of sin? To sin is to miss the mark. So how many of you are really skilled at throwing darts? I stink. Okay. I thought, it won't be so bad. So I threw a dart and it fell on the floor. I was kind of embarrassed. I'm not very good at it at all. So the problem is, if you want to go to heaven, you must hit that bullseye, that center mark. That is what God's requirement is. So I throw my dart and it thunks into the wall, or it lands over here, or over there, right? I miss the dartboard completely, let alone the bullseye. That's what sin is. Sin is missing the mark. God requires righteousness, and we miss it. Okay? We end up landing all over the place, and that's what sin is. So Paul says what? Well then, am I suggesting that the law is sinful? So I fail in keeping the law. Does that mean the law has a problem? No. Paul says, no way. Says, of course not. The law is what showed me what was inside of me.
Okay.
Remember we talked about the example of an MRI. If you have a problem inside, something growing inside, you do an MRI or you do a scan to see what's going on inside your body, and it shows up and they can find the issue. Well, the law is like the MRI. You go into the MRI and they find out what's going on inside of you. The law identifies the sin that's inside of you. The law shows me what's going on inside of me. That's the law. So Paul says, in fact, it was the law that showed me my sin. Interesting. So notice what it says here. Me. Who's it talking about? Me. Who is the me in the verse there?
Andrew.
The answer is Paul. Paul is talking about his own experience that the law had shown him his own sin. This is his experience. He's sharing his own experience here. Interesting. If you remember, we discussed about Paul, and was Paul a bad person? Was he wicked? No, Paul was a very good person. Paul explains about himself. He had a whole list of things that he had done. I have done this, I've done this. I am a good Jew. He was circumcised. He was a Jew from the tribe of Benjamin. He himself was a Pharisee. And he was also very, very zealous for God. And he expressed that in chasing the Christians down and arresting them, dragging them off to prison. So Paul says that he was very good. In fact, when Paul was younger, he was one of the witnesses at the killing of the Christians. So they stoned the Christian with rocks, and this man was a man by the name of Stephen. So they stoned Stephen, he fell down, and he died. And did Paul pick up the stones? No, but he was a witness. He observed what was happening. He was in agreement with what was happening. And so Paul was very strong in his Judaism. Now, was that good enough? No. Paul thought himself to be good. I'm all right. I followed God. But Paul was actually blind to his own problem. I don't know about you, but sometimes we can be blind to our own faults, right? I think I'm fine, and later I realize someone comes to me and explains something to me, and I realize, oh, that's right. I'm in error there. Sometimes we think that we're very good, but we're actually not. And that was Paul's experience. He thought himself to be good, and yet he was not. One day he learned about himself how he was not good. And what happened was that the law actually showed him. And he realized, oh, I am not good. Paul learned that he was not good through the law showing him that. Okay? Remember, some of you really love dogs, right? I think you have a dog, right? Okay. You guys have a dog? Oh, your dog died, yeah?
No.
Okay, so if you've had a dog before, perhaps you've tested your dog. Okay? You have a tree. Here's a little tree.
And the dog
And what does the dog do? Oh, he starts drooling over that tree. He just really wants it, right?
The dog is doing
now the dog is coveting what you have. And he's drooling over it. He wants it. You say, no, you stay. Don't eat it yet. But the dog is drooling over it. He wants it so badly. So, one thing that the Ten Commandments says is do not covet. Okay? That's actually in the Ten Commandments. Don't steal, don't lie, don't murder, don't covet. Okay? Here it is. The last one, it's number 10. Don't covet. What does that mean? If we look here in Exodus chapter 20, verse 17. We stopped here last week. This is where we stopped.
If you want
to know where the Ten Commandments are, they're found in Exodus chapter 20, and you can read all of the different commandments there. But the last one is explained in verse 17. You must not covet your neighbor's house. Don't be looking and coveting, wishing that you had others' belongings. Perhaps you have driven through the town and you see a big house and you're like, oh, it's fancy. It has its own swimming pool. Oh, it's got big windows, many floors, and you kind of drool over it and you say, I want that. And the Bible says, no, do not covet.
Yeah. Then it goes on to explain.
The Bible continues to explain, you must not covet your neighbor's wife. You see the neighbor's wife and you say, oh, she's beautiful. No. Don't covet your neighbor's servant. Don't covet the donkey or their oxen or really anything else that the neighbor owns. So your neighbor has a fancy car, shiny fancy car, and you covet that. No. The neighbor has a fancy iPhone. No, don't covet that. Don't covet. Okay, so what does this mean? Are you stealing it? No, it's don't covet. So then
Okay.
Paul says that without that law, he wouldn't have known about coveting. He wouldn't have known.
Okay. Interesting.
So we want to talk. So Jesse, you can correct me where I'm wrong here. Jesse's very talented working with planting and gardens, and that's his job.
Okay.
Okay, so in verse 8, it starts to explain about sin, and it says, but sin used this command. Which one? The command about coveting.
And
Sin took advantage of that command to not covet.
okay, now Paul.
Paul tended to, did he tend to covet? No, he was fine until something happened. What happened? Looking, first of all,
And
it's sin that is inside of us. Each of us has sin inside. Every individual does.
that sin.
And that sin
Don't
is don't tell me what to do. So, for example, you tell a child, you see the cookie over there, I bake the cookie, I put it on the counter over there, don't eat any cookies. What does a kid say? They start to get stubborn and they say, don't tell me what to do, and they start to covet over that cookie and they want it.
Next thing you know,
Next thing you know, the cookie's gone. The kid's maybe eating several cookies. Okay, now that's sin, and when God tells you no, and you start to get real stubborn about that, don't tell me what to do. Let's be honest, we have that tendency within us, and that's what it's talking about here, coveting. So we have this tendency to say, don't tell me what to do. Arouse, if you remember, we talked last week about the word arouse, meaning stirring up within us. So it stirs up within us this desire, this sin. One thing about sin is that sometimes it's inside of us, but it's what's called dormant. So see this bush here? Many of you have seen a plant that is outside. In the summertime, it's green. It's got leaves growing. But then in the winter, the leaves fall off. And it looks like it's dead. It's not dead, no. It's just asleep for a while. Is that right, Jesse?
No.
Like, oh, well, that's a basic definition. All right? Okay. So it's dormant, it's sleeping.
Summertime.
In the summertime, it starts to grow. The leaves grow.
Okay. So for Paul.
So for Paul, the coveting was dormant. It was sleeping inside of him. It wasn't active. It was dormant. He thought he was fine. He thought he was a good person. But what happened to Paul is one time he knew the law, but there was a time when he became aware that the law said do not covet.
And woke up.
What happened? Sin woke up within him before it was dormant. And Paul saw the command, do not covet, and the coveting within him woke up, flared up.
Right.
Does that make sense? So that's what the verse is saying there. Paul did not struggle with coveting, but when he saw that the law said do not covet, it began to grow within him, and he began to covet. It awoke within him. Verse 9, at one time I lived without understanding the law. Paul himself was a Pharisee. He had thought himself to be a good religious person, that he would be going to heaven. That's what he thought. But he was blind to his own sin. The sin woke up. He said, but when I learned the command to not covet, before I knew about it, but there was a day when it really struck home for him. That power of sin came to life. So now you see the bush is not dormant anymore. It woke up. Paul started to covet. Kind of like the dog, right? Paul's like, oh no. You understand? He said, I'm sinning. That's what the law does in us. It doesn't help us to become saved. It helps us to realize that we are a sinner. Paul said that sin and the coveting came to life, and I died. So Paul says it's talking about spiritual death, but he wasn't aware of it. He was ignorant and clueless. He thought he was okay and he would be going to heaven. And then the commandment came, do not covet, and it caused sin to wake up within Paul, and he began to covet, and he died spiritually.
All right.
Okay, so far so good?
No.
Looking at verse 10. So I discovered that the law's commands, they were supposed to give life, but they brought death instead. So the law is supposed to give life. If you can follow it perfectly, 100%, the law would save you and you could go to heaven. But the problem is we can't. And that's the problem.
No.
If a person can obey the Ten Commandments perfectly, there would be two things that would happen. Eternal life, and secondly, there would be happiness and blessings.
No.
But Paul found out what? He found that the law actually brought death. So did the law bring life? No, he realized it brought death instead. So instead of life, there was darkness, there was death. Paul understood that it was not the law that could save him. Looking at verse 11, sin took advantage of the commands, and it deceived me, and it used the commands to kill me.
Okay, interesting.
So this is an interesting phrase here. Sin had deceived Paul. Sin had promised satisfaction. Sin promised freedom, life, but it actually delivers guilt and bondage and death.
That's true.
This is true, right? This is true. We think, oh, it's fun to sin, and then later we realize I'm not happy anymore. Sin promised a good, happy, enjoyable time, and then later we realize that it has given sadness and misery. So sin does not make us happy. Maybe there's short pleasure, and then later we're absolutely miserable. So this is what's interesting here. It says that sin used the commands to kill me.
Okay, now I get
The idea is a picture of sin, like an individual. Okay, sin is a person, and sin has a sword or a dagger. Right? And that dagger is called the law. So sin uses the law to kill Paul. That's the picture that's being presented here. The law seems to bring life, but it brings death.
Okay.
But still, the law itself is holy. The commandments are holy. They're right and good. Holy, right, and good. There is nothing wrong with the law itself. The problem is in me. The problem is inside. The law is not the issue. The sin is the problem. So Paul says, now how can that be? Did the law, which is good, cause my death? That's the question. Okay, so you have the law that's good, but did the law cause my death? No. The law is not what caused the death. Sin. Sin used what was good to bring about my condemnation to death. So did the law kill me? No. Sin is the killer. Not the law, sin.
Okay.
We can see how really terrible sin is. Sin uses God's good commandments for its own evil purposes. What the law does